Once again, welcome to my channel. This is part 2 about the Great Incursion into the Great Lakes. So basically I'm going to be touching about the same topic that I've been saying. I'm going to be raising the same issues, why, who, when, and many other things that I'm going to be explaining. But now this is going to be part 2. Make sure you watch part 3 because we're going to dive deeper again into the whys, who, when, and many other aspects of what happened and is still happening. The Great Lakes include Congo or Eastern Congo, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, and Western Kenya. This region has been the center of violence, migration, land grabbing, political fighting, and what nobody has ever said to this day is about the fight and the supremacist war about religion. The gods of ancient Egypt, the gods of ancient Kush, the gods of ancient Saudi Arabia, the gods of India, we know about the Diwali and many other things, and then the gods of ancient Hebrews. They've all been centered around the Great Lakes. To this day, nobody has ever dive into this topic until this day, and this has always been the case for thousands and thousands of years, since the days of Noah. It has been the center of all these things, people coming in to take over the land and control the divinity. So even when the Ottomans when they met at the Berlin conference, they were ready to give up everything except where the Nile began. And these include Eastern Congo and all these regions. And it is also the main reason for the World War, I think Second World War, and maybe First World War, because Germany was ready to give up everything, but not Uganda. That's why Uganda exchanged, it looks like it exchanged hands very fast between Germany and Britain. Everybody wanted Uganda. And when we're talking about Uganda, it's not the modern Uganda we're talking about, not modern Kenya. It is Western Kenya and Eastern Uganda. That was what was called Uganda back then. It has been through a lot of different hands, including the Omani, the Ottomans, the caliphates, which the many people, different people wanted to control this region for a very long time to this day. So we're going to dive into this topic. So welcome. So like I said, it's going to be about the incursion. So there's a lot of hidden secrets about the identity, the reason why people migrated into these lands, the cause of the reason why they got migrating into it, why, who, when. People just think and assume that people are just migrating randomly, but that's not the real case. It is because of so many other reasons. We believe whoever controls this region controls the world, and that's why everybody wanted a piece of share in this area. And a lot of people know so much about this region except Africans. So when you're looking at this picture, you're looking at the Tutsi, the Hima, the Banyamalengo, the same people. So when these people migrated to Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Tanzania, and some part of Kenya, they were very specific. Now, most people don't understand who the Tutsi are. The Tutsi are not just any kind of people. These were the royalty or the ruling class from ancient Kema, from the ancient Misri, from the ancient Egypt. When they came down, they were very specific on where they were going and who they were going to live with and why. They know very well the kind of people they are living among, with the kind of people they're living living together with. And most people assume that the admixture of the Tutsi, happened recently, but that's not the case. The admixture happened a long time ago, and I don't want to go deep into that because it's gonna make this video very long. But later on, I will explain why the people today we call them Hara or the people of northern Ethiopia. They have some of them. If we've watched, their DNA, the people today found in Eritrea and northern Ethiopia. Why some of them, when they do DNA, you see Luya or you see Hutu, you see they have that kind of admixture, and that admixture happened a long time ago. Same when you go to the Omani people, you will see they have E1, B1A, or whatever, that kind of admixture, and the Somalis are all over the place saying, oh, because of slave, but that's not the case. The admixture happened a long time ago, but they don't want to admit. They don't want to people to know how they got they got that blood into them. So these people, they've been together for a very long time in Northeast Africa. They know each other. So when they came down, they wanted to live among the priestly group, the royal group, so that they can control the rest of Africa. And they wanted to impose their religion on them. They wanted to dispose and impose their own religion so that you will never find out who they are. And that's the whole business that is going on today. If you have watched the videos of the Lemba talking about the Shenzi people, you will understand where I'm going with this, because the next video we're going to cover that, while the Lemba keep talking about the Shenzi. And you don't find Shenzi in South Africa, you don't find Shenzi anywhere in Cameroon, Congo. The Shenzi, or you call the Chwezi people, they're found today in a part of Kenya, Western Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi. Those are the Chwezi. So how did the Lemba know about the Shenzi people when they say they migrated straight from Yemen all the way down to South Africa? So how did they know about the Shenzi? So we'll talk about that later on, about the Masana people, the Sena people, because that's a whole topic in itself. So when the royal group from Egypt migrated down to the Hutus and the Bagandas and the Luya, they wanted the priestly group, they wanted to go and engulf them, impose their own culture and their own system, so that you never know. Look at those, when you look at those horns, it's not just some cultural or music, whatever festival. This is a religion of the ancient Camel, the ancient Egypt. So they wanted to impose this culture so that you will never know about their own identity. So that is very important. So the same, the horn, whatever, those two horns, it represents what is called the wak. You find it all over East Africa, or horn of Africa. Even the name itself will tell you, when they say Horn of Africa, they're not just talking about a place, they're talking about people of the horn, like the horns. You understand, the horns, the cattle horns. So these people have had this religion for a very long time, and it came from ancient Egypt. Horn, like horn, we say Horn of Africa. It's horn, the cattle horns. So they are very specific. They know it. The Mzungu know it. The people today you call the Arab, which are not Arabs, they know it. Everybody knows it, except the people in Africa don't understand these things. So until this day, nobody has ever gone this deep, and I'm gonna go deeper than this in the next video. So wak, sometimes they call it wak. They have many names for it, wak, and many other names. It is all about the keros. Even the gods of the Egyptian was all about the keros, but they don't want you to know. But we will go deep into this. The Ankole, today they call the Ankole Kero. If you follow even the Fulani people, you see them following the keros. But it's not just the kero. It's more spiritual, religious aspect of it that they don't want you to know. They just hide behind following the kero, but it's more religious. And even when you look in the Bible, it is right there, but you have to know. Because remember when the Hebrews were they're exiting Egypt, when Moses went up, Aaron and other people decided to make a golden calf. You say, hey, we want to worship this golden calf like ancient Egyptian. Why? Why did they just come up with that? It is in the Bible. If you read the Bible properly, you understand. Because the Bible is full of parables and hidden secrets. Because the Bible is a book that understood what's going to happen to it. So it had to hide these things so that one day in a future time, people will uncover this truth. So why would the Hebrews decide to make a golden calf and not even any other animal, but just golden calf, and decided to worship it? You say we want to worship golden calf like the ancient Egyptian. Why? And today you don't see the modern people of Egypt relating themselves to the keros, but you see the Borana. When you say the Borana, you're talking about keros. I know Kenyans would understand what I'm saying. When you say Gabra, Borana, Rendile, are you not talking about Keros? When you're talking about the Ankola, are you not talking about the Keros? Now, this is the secret behind these people. All of them, they know it. If you want to follow their religions and everything, just follow the Keros and you understand everything. So, like I've seen, ancient Egyptians were so much into Keros. And this whole story has been hidden from other people, especially the people of Africa. They don't understand. But you see, in ancient Egyptian, they talk about Keros, they make it look like it's just, they're just talking about it, and, it's part of nature, it's part of food and everything, but that's not true. It has been part of their culture and religious aspect of it for a very long time. Now, don't get me wrong, even the ancient Hebrews, they were using Keros for almost the same thing, but they did not worship the Keros. The Keros were used for religious belief in the aspect or in the sense of offering sacrifice. So that was the main fight between the Hebrews and the Egyptians, or the Hebrews and the Cushites, because one group look at the Keros as God, and the other one look at the Keros as way to communicate with God. It was very small difference, but you have to know, you have to understand, and it was part of their fighting, because one group, and it's still happening in East Africa today in Great Lakes, because one group, they still accuse other group of worshiping the Keros, and the other one accused the other one of using the same Keros to offer sacrifice to gods. So that's where the whole fighting is coming from, and nobody's talking about it. It is still happening. It has been going on for hundred of years. Nobody has ever come out and explained these things. So this is this is about another group, the Luo, the Obama tribe. When they came to the Luya, originally they came to what was called Kitara Bunyoro. They conquered the original people who were called Chwezi, and they also tried to impose their own gods and delete every aspect of their religious belief, and they call them the witches. To this day, if you talk about the Chwezi, especially from the Bantu point of view, they will tell you Chwezi were witches. But when you tell Chwezi are the Luya, the Tutsi, they call them the people of the book. They know who the Chwezi were. They know very well, but they had to delete it. So they had to impose their own culture. If not, that's why they had to bring in the Mzungu. They had to go and bring the Mzungu to introduce Christianity. But the whole time they knew what they were deleting. They knew it was not accident, it was not anything. They knew very well what they were doing. To this day, they're still doing it. Through UNESCO, through British Geography Society, they're still doing it. Trust me. So today, if you talk about Nyasai, they'll tell you it's the god of the Luo. But when you go to, Luo is just one group. You have many Luos in Uganda, Sudan, and everywhere else. But they don't. Those other groups outside of Kenya don't know what Nyasai means. But if you do more research, there was nothing called Nyasai. It was called Asaya, Kusaya. So they had to have the Nya to delete the whole story. Now, when you read other books, they will tell you long before they took over the Nyasai of the Luya, they had to delete their own, because when you read other book, it tells you the god of the Luo was called Chieng, which is the same as sun. But after the missionary came, one of the longest missionary campaign in the history of Africa happened in Luya, between the Maragoli and the Luos. They were busy trying to delete everything. To this day, they're still doing it. So that's why they came up with Luya had to worship a god called Were. Were, if you do more research about Were is a name of something from the Kalenjins. So they were trying to make Luya, especially Maragoli, worship Were. But Maragoli said, we don't even know what Were is. So the whole idea was to impose other gods and remove the name Kusaya, Asaya from the Luya. And every time they write anything about Kusaya, you see they write with the IA instead of YHA, so that you don't find out what we are talking about. This was very deliberate. So we'll go deep into that. So now, like I said, there were so many aspect and things that happen. And I will go deep into about, I will go deeper about the blood thing, because it's one of the main thing about all these groups, the non-Bantus. When it comes to the blood thing, they always do it, drinking it, and it's part of the culture behind all this group, the Tutsi, the Fulani, the Maasai, Kalenjins, the Luo, but they don't want you to find out. They make some say, oh, we just mix it with milk, we just mix it with whatever, we cook it, we do it, whatever. But they were trying to make our people fall into the same thing. But now we're waking up. We're about to tell the people this is what they were trying to impose to you, so that you never know. But now let me give you an example. Why is it that the Kalenjins can run? Have you ever asked yourself why? Or they can fight? It is because of that culture, and they know very well. They're not gonna tell you, oh, this is how this is how we do our stuff, but it is tied to the blood. Now, if you read the Bible is very specific. Don't play with blood. Don't play with blood. So why are these people playing with blood? It is part of the culture. They don't want you to know. Now, if you go to Ethiopia today, and it's coming from Ethiopia. These are people who came from ancient Egypt, ancient Kush, not the modern Ethiopia that you see today. Their culture, they had to eat raw meat to give them some spiritual power, and they know it very well. You cannot defeat these people in war. You can't defeat them in knowledge and everything, or any other thing, because of this thing. I don't want to say it. YouTube. There's a lot of censorship going on. They don't want, especially us group like Luya, to come out and explain our own history. They want Luya to explain the story of the Luya. They want Kikuyu to come and explain what they know about the Luya, and this is very deliberate. They've been doing it for hundreds of years so that they silence everybody, and we look like we're just the others, when we have so much history. So we will go deep into this. So now, in the next video, you're gonna watch the Hutu, the people today we call the Hutu, who have been silenced, completely silenced. Don't even know anything about the Hutus. You're gonna watch a video of the Hutus wearing a lemba. They're wearing lembas, and this is something they've been doing for thousands of years. Today, they're not even associated with the lemba. Even the lemba call them shenzi. They don't understand the aspect, the history of the Hutus. The Hutus were not just anybody. These were the priestly group who migrated there, or who settled there, and they were the original priestly group, because it was a large group of priestly group that lived around the Great Lakes. The Hutus were one of them, and the Tutsi had to impose their own culture on them, had mixed with them, and then destroy them. And those who remained, they had to make them look invisible, or they don't have anything, they are not knowledgeable, or they don't know anything. But these were some of the priestly groups around the Great Lakes, and eventually you're gonna find out.
Meanwhile, replacing his father, who is busy with the hunt, he has another duty: to supervise the ceremonial dance of the Wahutu farmers, subjects of the Watusi nobility. This dance occurs at planting time each year. High into the air go the crude hoes of the workers, who wear a ceremonial garb that represents the green foliage of growing crops. This is an occasion of fun to all concerned. Now the young prince calls for the second stage of the ceremonial, with the dancers arranged in 2 long rows. With the added duty of supervising the home men's dance, Prince Kanamogiri is late for his part in the dance of the king's pages. Chief Rurasiri, the court's teacher of traditional dances, brusquely orders the prince to hurry. An attendant quickly helps him on with the ceremonial skirt, bead necklaces, and headdress of banana fibers. There is great competition for a place among the king's pages, who spend 4 years at the royal court. The Wahutu servants, having finished their dancing, now wait while their comrades bring on a hollowed log vessel and jars of fermented honey and milk for the drinking that will end the festivities. In his father's absence, the young prince must supervise this also, a duty for which the dancing master excuses him. The Wahutu have their own type of drinking straws, large hollow reeds which have been set all about the vessel of milk and honey. The young prince gives the signal.
Now, if you were able to understand or discern the difference between the Hutus and the Tutsi, it is like heaven and earth. You see the Tutsi doing their own dance, it's the warlike dance. Then they see the Hutus doing the farming dance. But the most important is whatever the thing that they're wearing on their head. This is the same name that was given to the Bantus. It's called the lemba, like this, whatever they're wearing on their head, it's called the lemba. It is for the priests, you know. Now, they know, like I've said, the Tutsi knew who the Hutus were, and they still are to this day. And that's why they will never, even when Belgium decided to divide the two people, say Tutsi are going to live in Burundi and Hutu live in Rwanda. They say no. They came back, and we know what they did to their president. And now they're going, as far as going now deep into Congo, because they know the kind of people that they are doing, they are unaliving. They're very specific. They know the lineages. It's only the Bantus who would understand this. They will never understand. So if you look at the lineage of the Tutsi, or the kind of people that they, or this kind of system that they imposed on the Hutus or the Great Lakes, it was basically the chief of the Keros, or it was all about the feudalism or Karo, whatever system. They knew what the Hutus and many other groups were doing, so they were very specific. So the type of government and system that the people, the Luo, the Tutsi, the Hima, the Ankole, and Banyamulengo introduced, it was basically the feudal system that used to happen in Kush and ancient Egypt. It was all related to Keros, all about Keros here, Keros this, chief of Keros, chief of, to this day, the whole government that you're seeing today, it has nothing to do with the leading people, bringing people together. It's all about the destruction, or making sure people are, you're hiring your people. And this is what happened in ancient Egypt. It's the same system. Just look carefully, you will see these people, they don't understand how to govern or live peaceful with other groups. So it came from ancient Egypt and ancient Kush. So now I want to introduce something else about the Chwezi, because the Chwezi, you hear a lot of, especially the Lembas, every time people ask them about their history, you keep hearing the word the Shenzi. And the Musungus don't want you to know about the existence of a people called Chwezi, who are a priestly group, did a lot of things, which you can still find them. So anytime you talk about the Chwezi, they make it look like it was the Luo and the Tutsi. But when you look at the characters of the Chwezi, it was, you can't even, you understand, because if anybody can show me anywhere where the Luos and the Tutsi were offering sacrifices, anywhere, like show me one, cite any reference where the Tutsi or the Luo or the Hima with Nyankore met and offered sacrifice, Kero sacrifice, I will say everything that I'm saying today is a lie. They've never done it. They can't do it. So let me reference this book. In 1960, Archaeological work by the curator of the Uganda Museum and a band of helpers suggests that the heyday of Bigo and thus of the Bachwezi probably date to the middle of the present millennium. Ms. Fisher says that the Bachwezi went further south, although an inconsistency appears in the account for she says into that the Bachwezi went first to Bukidi to the east and then disappeared either to the Lake Victoria or in the Crater Lakes. Those who quote various legends about their disappearance and conclude that they did not die in Kitara. Bikuni say that they disappeared in the Great Lakes. KW says that the Bachwezi disappeared to the south but denies that they vanished into the lakes. So as you go down, you say the Bachwezi left behind them certain intangible, I can't read that. So the Banyoro attribute them to the supernatural power and the worship. The Bachwezi have to be can't read that, but say they were, basically it says that the Bachwezi were offering sacrifices, and that's how you can tell who they were, because the whole Bachwezi system was it involved a lot of sacrifices only. So you can't say, hey, they just disappeared. These were people who were offering sacrifices back to back. But as you do more research, you discover that they try to connect them to Tutsi and Luo and the other group, the Hima. People have never offered sacrifices, so people who worship the cattle. They can't even allow you to touch the cattle in that, in certain ways. So in this book, called the Uganda Protectorate, it says that they can, it show you that, because when the Mzungus came to the Great Lakes, they spend more time with the Luos or in the Tutsi. Every time you read about the history of the Great Lakes, including us, the Luya, they tell you about the informants. The informants were never Luya, the informants were never Hutus, the informants were never Baganda. They were the Luos and the Tutsi. Those are the main informants. And if you think I'm lying, you read how the family of the Obama arrived in New York. Because after they snitched or gave Mzungu all the information, they were airlifted in what was called the airlift program, or the JF Kennedy airlift program. All the informants from the Great Lakes, the Tutsis, the Hima, the Luo, they were airlifted and taken to JF Kennedy so that they can learn, be the next doctors, the engineers and everything. And some never came back to Africa. Some went back to Africa. So, and became the leaders or the next president, governor, the ministers, and disposed all the kingdoms. They removed all the kingdoms. The family, the royal families were deleted. Someone unalived and replaced by the Tutsi, Hima, and the Luo, the Hima, Nyamulengo, all these people, the Mugabe, the Museveni, the Kagame, the Odingas, and all these people. They're all from the same lineage of the same group of people. So, and this book is saying they can arrive at the clear decision to cause, and they note the measure, and to take and ready and the wrongdoing. The priest of the clan demand as a sacrifice a cow without blemish, and a sheep, a goat, and a foal, which are all colored, one colored without a spot. This armor and then placed in the center of a circle formed by the witches. You see, now when you read, anytime you read the witches, this story was being told by the informants, because you can't call your own people witches. You understand? So these were the Tutsi telling or explaining who the Chuis were. Then you continue to say, which the large the bag danced round the circle, chanting a chant of the effect, Bachwezi, accept this offering and let your wrath cease. Now, remember, there were no people who called themselves Bachwezi. Because remember, the word Bachwezi, it's a misspelled by the Mzungu. They were calling them Bashenzi or Shenzi people. It's an insult by the Tutsi. He was calling the Hutus and the Baganda and the Luya. We were calling them very bad name, a derogatory name. So as you go deeper, you'll see they were talking so bad about the Chwezi. But eventually, when the Mzungu went back to read these books, they came back telling us that the Chwezi were superior race of Caucasoid people who came from north, introduced everything to their inferior end people. I don't want to say the word because of censorship. So they came back and civilized the end people who didn't do anything, never build anything, never built civilization. But then they never showed us who those Caucasoid people who introduced this thing to us, who they were. Because you can't say these are Tutsi, you can't say these are Luos. Like I say, the Luos and Tutsi never offer sacrifice. So how can you say that these are Caucasoid people from north, and then these people from north never offer sacrifice, never did this thing, and then you go ahead and delete the people who you found doing these things? You understand what I'm saying? Now, I want to introduce another topic about the altar at the center of Africa. This was well known by the people of Yemen, Oman, Ethiopia, and the Tutsi and the Luo. When they came down, they knew very well there was an altar at the center of Africa. Remember when I said about the Ptolemies? Now you will see, because every time the Ptolemies, remember the Ptolemies, we'll discuss that much later on. This altar was at the center of Africa, and it was well known. There was an altar at the center of Africa, which pretty much made it, or was fending off invaders from entering the interior of Africa. Every time the invaders tried to get into Africa, either they would get bitten by the mosquitoes or the animals, something will happen. Nobody, like non-black people, could enter Africa, and it was all because of this altar. So the only way to get rid of this altar was use another black people to go and get rid of it, so that the Mzungu and the other people can eventually invade and enter Africa. So once this altar was removed, that's when you start seeing slavery and many other things. And this is well documented. It is well known that there was an altar very close to the where the Nile River begins, close to the equator. It was close to the equator and where the Nile begins. Stone. This place had different type of stone where the sacrifice was being offered by the Chwezi. And once this altar was altered, the whole Africa was, became, free, and anybody could do anything. So it's very important to understand who the Chwezi were, what they were doing, because this might help Africa. There's no any other way. Whether we change the government or anything, we have to find who the Chwezi people were and what they were doing, because it's going to help Africa one way or the other. Trust me. So if you read the Bible, you're going to see something called Ola, but that's not even the original name. It was Allah. I will go deep into that in the next video. I will discuss what the Ola was, Allah, and its significance, because that's the same altar that was there. It was there for a very long time, and it was used to defend Africa. There's no way the Creator will give Africa all these minerals and all this richness without some kind of defense. So remember, like I've said, the enemy had to be people who could penetrate and infiltrate to destroy the only way Africa could be safe, so that everybody could take whatever they want to take from Africa. So Africa had the altar, and they know it very well. These people, the Bantu, the Hutus and the Baganda, it was right there. They had an altar. And this altar was, some people call it Sena. Sena 1, Sena 2 and Sena 3. So Sena 1 was destroyed, went down, it became Sena 2, Sena 3. We'll talk about it. Let me keep going. So, like I've said, the people call it Allah, some people call Allah. And Allah is later on I will describe what Allah means, because even Diwali that the Hindus do, the Diwali, the light celebration about this light, it all came from the Great Lakes, and they know it. They know it very well. There are many books talking about everything coming from where the Nile begins. They know it very well. So later on we're going to discuss that. So Allah, the altar, it was an altar. And this altar is as old as Noah, not even Noah, Adam. It was down in the Great Lakes. And it was a fire altar. that was given to Adam, and then it was given to Jared of the Bible. I mean Seth, Jared, and it went all the way down up to, then Nimrod took over it. At some point Nimrod had it, and then it was wrestled by Shem, and then eventually it went down. This altar, the same altar, I mean, no, it was there, right there, and then eventually it was destroyed, and they're taken over by other groups of people. So not even taken over, it was deleted, destroyed. So the type of defense the Africans had, it was long gone. So there's a book, not even book, it's like a lot of books, a group of books, a series of books called Kitab Urushiyu, whatever that name is. These are groups of books that were found. You can look it up on Google. You see, it's a group of books, Kitab Urushiyu, whatever. Look it up. Look that name. These were groups of books written in Arabic that were left in a place called Al-Andalusia in Spain and Portugal, because that's where the Mzungu got a lot of information. So go look it up, that name, and you know what you will see. So these books, they never said anything about modern Palestine or any. They were talking about the Great Lakes. They have extensive information about the Great Lakes. Go look it up when you find time. Find about the Kitab Urushiyu. It talks about the Zanj, where the real name of the Nile River, and Zion, or even when you read the Bible, Gion. It's the Germans who changed the name of these places, the Germans and the British. But if you go back in history, when the people called Moorish people, when they went to Europe, with all the knowledge that they had, some of them had never been into Africa, but they knew Gion River was part of the River Nile. They knew the Sayun or Zion was part of the Great Lakes. It was right there somewhere. But it is until the Victorian era that we start to see all these names being changed and twisted, and even some of these names being taken to America. Now you have all the names that are supposed to be in Africa, in America. They had to change it. There's a lot of people who came together and decided to remove the names of Africa and relocate to anywhere else other than Africa. So today you have places called Lake Victoria, Mount Kilimanjaro, or whatever. All these names that are very recent. River Nile, or Blue Nile, White Nile, without real names. And let me tell you, a lot of Mzungus were analyzed by the other Mzungus when they went back to Europe, told them that we have found this. Like people like John Hannington Speke, he went back to British Royal Geographic Society. He said, you know what, I found it. I have enough information from India. I have enough information from Ethiopia. The Amhara, the old Amharas were telling the truth until they were told, hey, you guys have to become other people. So until then, before then, the Maharas used to tell the truth about where the Nile begin. But after they were given money and other things, and told that you gonna become these people, they changed the story. But if you go back to old book, you see the Amhara telling the truth. The Baluchi, there were a lot of Baluchi in East Africa. They were pointing their fingers or their hands to where the Nile begin. Today they don't want to talk about it. They just say it's Nile River. This is so deliberate. So, like I said, there was an altar in Uganda. It was called Mirembe. So this altar disappeared, but you can trace when the people found in Swatini in further South Africa. They still, they went with the same ideas, and they renamed a hill in Swatini called Milembe. So how did they come up, just come up with a random idea of calling their place Milembe? And it was an altar in the Great Lakes called Milembe in Uganda. Today they built a big church right there, one of the biggest church. I think it's a Catholic or maybe I don't even know, the one from Britain, one of those churches from Britain. On top of the Mirembe, the real altar where it's supposed to be an altar, they built a big church. It it has like surrounded the whole place, the whole altar, for you not to ever find out that there used to be an altar right there. So so according to this book, because this is one of the books that was written by the Arabic philosophers, it says the ancient philosophers believe that within it, talking about the altar, there are stones known by the name of beryl, Bahat. Bahat means lucky. Bahat is the same word in Swahili and Arabic, Bahat. That have the property of attracting men from a great distance. They also believe that these stones were brought by Alexander the Great from the country of the Zanj. Remember that. Now, this stone that they're talking about here has been a very controversial story, because at some point people said these stones were brought to, they were taken to Mecca by the modern people of the region in Djibouti. Some other, other groups say that, it was taken there by, through slave trade, whatever. But the truth of the matter is that this stone came from the Great Lakes. I'm talking about the black stone that today you call the black stone of Mecca. It came down from the Great Lakes, and they know it. They know very well about this stone. So, yeah, I'm talking about the black stone that they say it was handed down from Abraham to his children and then to Arabia. Remember, Mecca is something that is very recent. It's very new. It didn't exist even before 500 AD. There was no Mecca. But you have a group of people who came down, did whatever they did. Africa became free. It could become, the gates of hell is open in Africa. Everybody's now going in, coming in and out the way they want. And it's after this altar was invaded by people from north, the Kero group. The same time, you have kings of the Fulani going to West Africa, Mali, taking over gold from Mali and take it to Mecca and making Mecca one of the richest center of the world. The same group. But nobody, until you connect the dots, you will never know. So the same books by those people, like I've said, you see, these are old books kept in now today, maybe in a Rome museum somewhere. Let's talk about Sayun. Yeah, it says remember, these are books written by people like Ibn Battuta, some like Idris, and many others. It says 13th century, they relied on Idris. The places studied in this book on the East Africa coast are Albanese and all those names which border the land of the Zanj. It also talks about the gold and the excellent iron of this area, about the trade between Omani and the land of the Zanj, and about the river of which Sayun was lying. Now tell me, how did Sayun, remember Sayun is Zion, how the river Sayun disappeared from Africa and all of a sudden it reappeared in Saudi Arabia or wherever, or today called the middle of somewhere. So you see, they know where it was. And also they talk about the big drum. Remember when the Mzungu say, oh, the Lemba had a drum, they knew it very well. The drum is somewhere in Africa. Actually, it's supposed to be 3 drums. That one we're gonna cover that, the whole drama maybe in the future. I'll talk about the drum. It's supposed to be 3 drums, not just one. It was supposed to be 3 drums in Africa. In the Great Lakes, one was, let me call it Great Lakes, 3 drums. These are not just any drums. It's called the drums of fire. Go research about it. The 3 drums, the drums of fire. So, like I've said, Al-Idris and Ibn Battuta, they've written so much about the Great Lakes and many things that were found in the Great Lakes, and these were translated over and over about the altars and everything which were found in the Great Lakes. Now, remember, this information also is the same information that the Ptolemy era Greeks or Greek Romans used, 1, to write the Bible, and 2, about the geography of the world, especially Africa. It's all the same information. So now from now I'm gonna be introduced, or maybe go deep into the Ptolemy, because this is another area that needs need more emphasis, because why would these people, the same people who wrote or maybe who translated the Bible, be talking so much about the Great Lakes when they are writing the Bible? They don't pay. You don't see the Ptolemies talking about Russia. They don't mention anything about Bulgaria, Poland, or Czech, or Ukraine. They talk so much about the Great Lakes, Great Lakes, and eventually it becomes like one of the center of the ideas, of the main ideas, until Europeans discover, oh, like Victoria, and then it just disappeared. That topic just vanished like that. You'll see. So there's another topic also called Uvwiru or Avwiru. So the Tutsi, when they're talking about the Bantu, they call them Abairu. To this day, they still call Bantu Abairu. Now the Bantus didn't like, despite that name, because it's like calling people servants. They still call the Bantu servants, but in a word called Vairu, Abahiru. You don't call Tutsi Vairu, but we call Bantus Vairu. Now, Vairu is not just a name. It's a culture. It's an aspect of life. It's a system of because most of these people, especially the people who lived around the Great Lakes, didn't have like the system of government that we have today. So they were guided by Vairu. So this Vairu is associated with the priesthood, or people who are priests. The ritual of the Vairu. They were so much into. These are the same people that chose it because they were offering sacrifices and doing all this kind of stuff, and they were able to get vision and dreams, and that was only them who could do that. Get vision and dreams. So they were called the Vahiru or Abahiru. So Abahiru is the same. You can get the same word from Uvwiru and the same from Bayinzu. Remember today, when you read those people, they say Bayit. The word Bayit, which means house, it came from it come from Bayidu. The same word they were using, during their raids, looking for the Bayidu. Bayidu come from the word Bayinzu, Inzu house. The same word, but they don't want you to connect the dots. Say Bait, but Bait is Bayinzu, the people of the house. Who lived in the house? Remember the non-Bantus lived in Karas, K-R-A-A-S, Karas. They just make a temporary thing, sleep there, and keep walking. They never build a house like a permanent house, which is called Inzu. So that's why they were calling them Bayinzu, Bayidu, the people of the house, Bayidu. So name the other people corrupted. Instead of calling the Bayidu, they say Bait, people of the house. So remember, now this is another one, Sebastian Musa. So this was the main map that was used for fetching the servers. I don't want to, say the word because otherwise they're going to cancel the video. So Sebastian Musa was a German, was a guy from Germany, and he was the first guy to create a video of Africa. This was the main map that was used for fetching servants from, West Africa. Now look closely, you see they have a guy, they've drawn somebody where today you call Nigeria, and this guy they call him Monokoli, the one eye. Monokoli means one eye. Now if you talk to the Portuguese, because this is getting interesting, if you talk to the Portuguese, because they still know when their ancestors, the Portuguese and the Spaniards, when they came to fetch people from West Africa, they know what they didn't use the N word. They were using Monokoli. They said they were looking for Monokoli, the one-eyed. But they never said they were looking for one-eyed. They said Monokoli. And then later on they changed that word to Monokoli. But now, where did Sebastian Musa get the idea? It was from the Ptolemy. The Ptolemy era. This is like a group of people, not just one. They got all this information from the Ptolemy Greco-Romans. They told them about the Monoculo, who they were, what they were doing, and everything. So they did tell him the director, but it was books. It was a lot of books that were written in Latin. Now the Germans, what they did, they translated these books to English. So whatever they translated, some of it they couldn't understand. That's why they're painting or drawing these people in, like themselves, until the Spaniards and the Portuguese, finally made it to Africa and discover, oh, these people are not like us. They don't look like us. And then they began to, yeah. So, like I've said, the Septuagint Bible, whatever how you call it, the Septuagint Bible, is a Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament. The entire Bible, as you know it today, was created during the Ptolemaic era, around the 3rd century BCE, in Alexander, Egypt. Now, those people who translated the entire Old Testament, these were the Ptolemies. And these people, you don't see them talking about, they don't talk about Bulgaria, they don't talk about Czech, they don't talk about Russia, nothing about Poland or Ukraine. They focus so much about the Great Lakes, where the Nile begins. For just look at the whole personal biography, whatever. They are all looking, including many people, Pliny and many other people. They're just talking about where the Nile begins, where the Nile begins, where the Nile begins, while the whole time we're talking about the Bible. And this search and looking and whatever, it's completely deleted from world history. Nobody's talking about it today. Why these Greek Romans, especially the Ptolemy, they are searching and looking for the people who are found at the beginning of the Nile to this day. It is completely deleted from history. This is so deliberate. So this man, Claudius Ptolemy, is one of the most important ones for me. I have done a lot of research on him, and you discover he tried, he did everything. He wanted to find out where the mountain of the moon was. And remember, like I said, these are the people so much focused on the Bible, translating the Bible. And after doing everything, they want to know where the source of the Nile is coming from. Why? And today we're told, this is just insignificant. It doesn't matter. These are just black people with no history, no culture, they didn't build civilization. They're nothing. We just want to, we didn't care. They don't care. They're not in history. But the ancient people, the Claudius Ptolemy, who civilized, their books taught European about the Bible. They focus so much, not about Palestine, not about Saudi Arabia, not about even Egypt itself, not about Syria or Iran, but they focus so much about where the Nile begins. In fact, the oldest map that the Ptolemy made, they make this thing. Today they lie to you that this is a mountain of the moon, but that's not a mountain. Look at it closely. That is not a mountain. That was in the imagination about an altar surrounded by stones. But you can look at the map. You see when they're drawing hills and mountain, you can see the hills and the mountain. But you see, this is not a mountain. It's like a big hole. But if you look much closer, you see something surrounded by circle. It's like a big circle surrounded by something. And then it's an altar. They don't want you to know it was an altar. One of the ancient altar handed down from Adam to Seth to Jared all the way to Shem. It was right there, and they know it very well, but they don't want you to know. So these are the Ptolemy people who, pretty much translated the Bible to the status that you know today. We don't know how the Bible was before these people, because nobody has anything other than what these people gave. Because it's Germans who translated the Bible from the Ptolemy. So we have only two eras of people, like two group of people passing on information from another source that we don't know. But whatever they're giving us, these two group of the Germans and the Ptolemy, they're looking so much, they are all fighting or doing everything to discover the source of the Nile. And when they find it, especially the Germans, they're going to war with the British. And today first Muslims say, no, you're lying. They deny it. They will use everything to deny it. They want you to know the truth. They have done everything. It's like they will fight, they will go to war to make sure nobody knows anything about this. They will do everything. They will use nuclear, whatever, just to make sure nobody knows about this. They will do everything. They will spend all the money They will use all the kind of the armies and military, whatever, make sure nobody find out about this. So the source of the Nile is very significant. So the Germans were successful in removing the source of the Nile from the Lake Victoria, and that's why today they just tell you, hey, you know, the source of the Nile is in Tana, Ethiopia. Very significant. By the same time, the Victorian, the royal family, rename Victoria and make it, you know, name it after, you know, the royal family. But then nobody renamed Tana River in Ethiopia. Don't want even real association with Ethiopia. But the most significant in the Great Lakes is being renamed after the royal. And the people, the Mzungus who discovered Victoria, majority are unalived. They go back to, you know, to present the history after they do it, being unalived, one after the other. And they tell you, oh, this history don't even matter. These are insignificant people. Do your own research about what I'm saying. The Baluchi, if you read the Baluchi of 1600, 1700, they were all pointing at the source of the Nile. They're telling people, you find them right there. We have history from the Indians. They're telling about, it's called Purana script. Go and read the Purana script, talking about the Mount Meru and a place called close to Mandara, where you have a river, and that's where the altar of Adam was. They know it very well. This altar was not moved until other blacks, then these cattle tribes came and did whatever they did, and just disappeared from the history. So as you read all this, it will tell you all these things that I'm telling you. It is true. So like I've said, the ancient Greeks and Romans talked about this. So the Greeks had informants who told them where each group migrated. Remember I told you about the Nilotic people called Nilotica Palestrina in part 1 in North Africa? They lived together. That whole time they were teaching them about where to find what these people are doing, what, you know, their religious aspect. So when these armed Nilo-Kushite migrated down, they came down to conquer, subdue, and then the Mzungu used the West African route, like the coast of the West Africa. I'm talking about the navigators. Those navigators, whatever, from Portugal and Spain, they were being sent by the Roman Catholic, by the Portuguese, by the Roman Catholic, which was Western Germany, whatever, ruling Rome back then. They went around through Good Hope, which is today's called South Africa, and eventually docked at the Malindi. And they were sending people for hundreds of years. These ships were sending people deep into Africa to find the source of the Nile. And eventually, when they found the source of the Nile, they went back. It was big celebration in Spain and Portugal. And after that, it was now conquering, deleting, and deleting. To this day, they're still deleting the history of the Great Lakes. They don't want you to know. People like Aristotle, Herodotus, they talked about even the trees like a Mutembe tree. Because the tree that was used to make the drum of the lembas and many, it's not just one drum, it was 3 drums. Those 3 drums were built from the same tree. And if you can go into Zimbabwe and ask them about this, which tree was used to build to make those things, they will tell you the same tree. Even the stamps, because there's something about the stamp they don't want you to know about it. It came from the same tree. You don't find this tree in Ukraine or anywhere else. You find this tree from Saudi Arabia, Yemen, all the way down to South Africa. They know this very well. And Eastern Congo. It's found around that area in Kenya. Yeah. That tree is called Erythraean something. You can go and look it up. So the Sebastian, the Ptolemy, the Greco-Roman, the Ptolemy, especially the Ptolemy, when they are talking about the monopoly, they said it was a one-eyed, one-legged, because they didn't like the people, right? By the way, they didn't like the people they're talking about. Remember, these are the same people translating the Bible. So when they're talking about the monoculo, they say the one-eyed, the one-legged. So when the Portuguese were coming into Africa, they're looking for the one-eyed, the one-legged person or human, but they didn't find, because let's say you go to somewhere, let's say you go to India and you want to conquer them, you're not going to call them human. You have to make sure that whoever is going there don't look at them as human. So They were calling the Greco-Romans, the Ptolemies, they were calling these people the one eye, the one leg. And I mean, if you read that whole story, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. So this one-eyed was placed somewhere between Cameroon and Congo, right there, where today they say, oh, the Bantu migrated from. Exactly that spot. That's where the Ptolemy placed those people. So when the Mzungu came for those people, I don't want to call the name, they were looking for the one-eyed, the one leg. And if you look at this guy, you know, today where's between the border of Nigeria and Cameroon, if you look at that guy closely, if you zoom in, you see that he's one-eyed. He has one eye on his head. He doesn't have two eyes. He's one-eyed. This is coming from the Ptolemy era, not even the Germans themselves. It's coming from ancient Latin Greco-Romans translation. Remember, like I've said, these are the same people translating the Bible. Now, another thing, I want you to focus on the royal. See the royal crest? These are places where they knew people migrated to. And they were looking for these people, but they could not penetrate into Africa. So this map is very important by the Sebastian Muster because it's a translation from the Ptolemy. So when you read this is very, because this is now Mzungu telling story from their own eyes about what the Germans were thinking, about what the Germans were thinking, about what the Ptolemy Greeks were thinking, about what the Ptolemy Greeks were thinking about the lost people. So these are translation from translation. So they were looking all the time. They were looking for monopoly. Monopoly eventually became Prester John. I've been talking about Prester John for a very long time. So Prester John, the Mzungu were looking for this guy. Now Prester John became the idea or the center of the idea after the Ethiopians, the Nilotes, and these people, the so-called Kushe, went to Spain and Portugal and say, hey, Ottomans are attacking us. If you come here and help us, we will make sure you get Congo for free. We will give you Congo. And that's what they call Berlin Congo or Berlin Conference or Congo Conference. Because the idea was, we give you Congo, in return you make us safe. I hope this is a whole story that need the whole topic, whole video to explain. So Prester John came from monopoly. So if you read this, the Cleidemon Ptolemy, they were looking for monopoly, but eventually they discovered, oh, the monopoly, the Prester John is somewhere in East Africa, but not East Africa, but Great Lakes, a place close to Tanganyika Lakes and the Victoria Albert Nyanza. So where is this Prester John? So when these people, they send the elite, including Stanley Henry Morton and many other people, to go and find Prester John. The only Prester John that they found was the monopoly. Because the monopoly, the word, I will show you. When they eventually made it to the Great Lakes, they found all the Nilotes. And I have a book to show you, telling them, oh, the monopoly that you're looking for is only one. The people are offering sacrifice. It's only one group of people. So when the Europeans found, oh, it is these people, they went silent and deleted it from history. They said, we didn't find anybody. It was just rumor. We didn't find it. And eventually they went to Ethiopia and said, oh, the only Amhara, it's only the Amhara who are monopoly. When the Tutsi say, you're talking about, asking the Tutsi say, hey, we're looking for this guy, this is where they are. These are the witches. They are right here. Mzungu said, no, we're not going to say, we're not going to accept this as a group. We're going to say we didn't find them, but we're going to give credit to the Amhara people. And that's how the story of Monopoly Prester John disappeared from history. To this day, nobody has ever talked about it. Disappeared completely from the books. You don't hear anything about Prester John. They say, oh, it was somewhere in Genghis Khan. Oh, it was India. Oh, it was just a rumor. It didn't happen. It was lies or whatever. But the whole time, they found who the Monopoly were and what people they were. They know it to this day. They know. I'm not talking about the average Mzungu. I'm talking about the elite. The average Mzungu doesn't care whether wind is blowing from west to east or east to west. I'm talking about the elite who control history today. So, like I said, the story of monopoly is very important. We need all to make sure we find out who the monopoly people are, because it's going to help Africa, because these people had power to protect Africa from invasion or from stealing their minerals. And until we find out who the monopoly people are, Africa is going to be free for everyone. It's going to steal, they're going to conquer, they're going to invade and do whatever they're doing. So monopoly is very important. And the Mzungu know this very well. Another thing that I want to talk about is the Sena. So once the altar came under attack, like I said, it was 3 altars. The first one came under attack, so the Sena one disappeared. So they had to build another Sena. The second Sena was built inside the Great Lakes. They disappeared, vanished, because they knew the Luos were here to, to make sure they conquer and destroy everything. So they moved down deep into the lake, like in the island, lived there for generations. But one group decided to go back to Uganda and, unalive one of the Luo king who had, ruler who had taken over Uganda. So when they did that, the Luo called for backup from Ethiopia, from Sudan, from all. They came in groups in good number. They were now they were unaliving people, taking the women to north. It was so bad. It was so bad, whatever they were doing. So this group, they were reduced to, the numbers were reducing until the Mzungu showed up. By the way, to this group, when the Mzungu showed up, it was like God sent. It was on time, because the Luos were deleting these people in numbers, and they don't want you to know about this. They were deleting these people. Some of them, they were like, even to this day, their numbers are still, very insignificant. Like you find, they deleted some people to, like, some clans remain, like you find 10 people remaining on, only 10 people, or only 500. So the real group that, were ruling in Busoga, Bunyoro, Kitara, and all this Buganda royalty, including the Chozi, like the priestly clans, they were all deleted or eliminated by the Luo. And this was deliberately, and was deliberately done. So today, what you call the Great Zimbabwe, some people think it was just a civilization. That was not civilization. If you dig deep and deeper, you discover that this was another shrine or altar. And for you to understand this, or to get enough information, there's another shrine or altar that looks exactly like the Zimbabwe altar or shrine. And if you can ask, talk to the Shona, the Lemba, they will tell you, at the center of the Great Zimbabwe, they used to offer sacrifice. And that's what the main purpose of the Great Zimbabwe was to offer sacrifices. It was a shrine, it was an altar. But this was the third and the last one. After this, there was no other shrine. It was all done, it was completely done, because the Portuguese came in and made sure they deleted everything for good. It was gone. So this was a shrine, this was an altar, and this was like the last one. After that, Africa became a highway for anybody to come in and do whatever as they wanted. So if you want to understand Zimbabwe, the Great Zimbabwe, you have to study the Thimlichenga. The Thimlichenga is not even his real name. It was a Sena. This was a Sena. It was a shrine. So this was the second one. It was in Western Kenya. The Luos would not even admit that they just took over the place. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to find out. But they're still guarding it. UNESCO, the Mzungu, they pay a lot of money to make sure nobody find out about this. They're hiding it. So this was a center of sacrifice, daily sacrifice. It was protecting Africa. Once these came under invasion and attack, the Luos took it over. And that's when, even the people who used to live here, once the Luo took over, even the mosquitoes that used to defend the people, the original Sena people, became the enemies of these people. They were being unalived by the same, everything that was happening to the foreigners now became the very thing that is now ravaging these people. Immediately after the Luo took this, those people became like, they experienced one of the most bizarre thing in the history of mankind. To this day, that's why it's called, places called Suna and many other names that means, problem, including the people like many other groups. I don't want to go into specific. But once this shrine was taken over by the Luo, that was the demise of the original Sena groups. Today they call it Thimlichinga, but the original was Sena. The Luos guard this place like nothing else. You have the Americans guarding this place. They protect this place like nothing else. They don't want you to know anything about Thimlichinga. It's called Thimlichinga. That's not even its original name, but it was a shrine. It was an altar. Now, I want to cite an example of something. I don't want to go in deep, but I just want to cite something so that, it will collaborate whatever I'm saying. Now, remember when they said, they were worshipping Nyasai, and then you have somewhere saying, the god of was Were, and then they make it look like, later on they say Asai. So I was trying to find out what is Asai, because I asked a lot of people, why would people worship a god called Asai? What is Asai? I didn't find it didn't. So eventually I found this as saying Isahi. Now this made a lot of sense. In another video I'll show you how all these gods, all these name of God, whatever, they came from the Great Lakes or whatever. The Great Lakes, when I'm talking about Great Lakes, it's a whole region coming down from southern Yemen, going all the way South Africa and eastern Congo. It's all one region. It's a belt. It was a center of origins, and the Mzungu knows it very well. But the most important part was the Great Lakes. So when you read this, you read, I want to read it because this is very precise. They're offering sacrifices, and they're playing to Isahi, Angoma himself. He said, he kindled the fire at this place. Don't forsake Maina, that might perish. Maina, the younger brother, son of Stan, the concept of the song for the tribe of Logol. The song implored Isai not to let the Logol perish, but to give them credit for the unbroken tradition of sacrifice. To give them credit for the unbroken, which means they've been doing it for a very long time, which had begun already with the Angoma. In other version of the song, same song, Angoma self-address, where the chief priest and the whatever, after having kindled the Ovwali fire, this Ovwali, I'll come back to it, because this is where you find if you go to people today in Zimbabwe, they call it they have the same name. Fire, prepare for themselves the sacrifice of cave. The Matu continue to sing the same song while they sing each of the thousands of people, present through a few of years of grain. So, and down they say the chief enemy, the Jaluo. Now, when you study this story, it gives you, you kind of give you some aspect of something that was going on when the Mzungu arrived. There was a lot of fight going on, and also these people are offering. They understood that by offering sacrifice, it's going to defend them from the enemies. I don't think this is just people, who just came up with a rough idea, who didn't understand what they are doing. They knew when they say we have never unbroken. They say they're offering sacrifice, the fire, they kindle fire at this place. Hey, don't forsake Maina, because they have been leading fire. Something. Let me see where it says this. It says to give them credit for the unbroken tradition of sacrifice. That was very important to me. That was like a climax. It means this is something they've been doing for a very long time. It's an unbroken tradition. Like it went on for a very long time until another group showed up and deleted it from the culture, and that's when everything began to fall apart. So in this book by Wagner, it says the religious observer that involved the assembly of people on a tribal scale have been able to record from the Ulgoli in a cave slope of wooded hill. They perform a semi-annual sacrifice to the ancestral spirit Mungoma and to the apparent to Vagili, whatever, Asai. You see now the names changed from Isai to Asai. The whole time they were trying to delete the whole thing, because I remember in another place he was asking, hey, Maragoli don't have a name of God. They should worship Were. They should worship Were like other Luyas. Now if you dig deeper, Were is not even a Bantu word. It's come from the Nilotic. So they're trying to impose the word were. And then they corrupted the name, the original name, because it's not even a side. If you go deep, you'll see what it was. I'll do that in another video, and you will see it will all come together. So remember, they said he was worshipping for the ancestry, and then they said deity Asai. So which is which? So the purpose of the sacrifice is to invoke ancestral and divine blessings of the quick ripening of the crops. Other occasion pray help when calamities such as drought, an epidemic, or series of ill-fated raids endangered the war tribal society. Now, you see, the Mzungu knew what they were talking about, but they had to make it look like they were just worshipping ancestor spirit, whatever. So this ancestor spirit was called Asai. He had a name. See? And then at the same time, remember when I started this video talking about Chieng of the Luo? The Chieng of the Luo was completely deleted from history. And they said the Luo worship Nyasai. And then they wanted to give us another one, give us another name. But it didn't succeed, because in the next video I'll show you the whole story, how they trying to change the whole thing. Because everything is gonna add up together. Now, on this book, I was trying to capture this by it was because of whatever, I couldn't get it more clearer than this. It says the Luos are complaining about the Luya. Say the Luya, every time they fight the Luyas would offer sacrifices and call upon the rivers to flood during the fight, and the river will take them, like take the enemies. They used to use rain. That was the main the Luyas, the mode of fighting. They offer sacrifice, and when the Luos were coming to fight the Luyas, the rains and the rivers will flood and take over the enemies. And they were complaining. It's right there. The informants are complaining, saying, "Oh, whenever we fight the Luyas, they will call upon their whatever, and the rains and the river will flood and take everybody." So to them it was witchcraft. But if you read it, if you get a chance to read this, you will see it. Now, by the time the Murungu, like I've said, by the time Mzungus arrived, the Luos had taken over the land. So this book by W.E. Owen about the Bantu Kavirondo, it says about the Bantu tribe of North, Central, and South Kavirondo, about their numbers. It was like 500,000 back then. It says the land which they occupy comprised some of the very best in Kavirondo from the point of view of rainfall, altitude, and soil. So it was not just the land. In another video, which we will talk about this, why they wanted this land, why they, So in the same book it says, in days gone by, the distribution of the Bantu was much wider than it is now. The old men of the tribe possess a strong historical sense and are minds of historical law and tradition, fast passing away, sad to say. The main lines of the tradition they hand down are as trustworthy as tradition in general accept to be the world over. According to these old men, it would appear that generation ago they occupied lands away to the west of the present holding land, now in the possession of the Kavirondo Nilo, the Luo. The Luos are taken over the whole place. The book continues saying they linked up with the Bantus in Busoga in Uganda Protectorate. A typical instance is that of the Banyolo tribe. The tradition founder by the name Omwa lived 45 miles to the west of the present location. His migration eastward can be traced in the comparison of the genealogy of the Banyole and of the Nilos, now in possession of the land westward, bears out the statement of both Bantu and Luos, that the Bantu retreated before the rising tide of the Nilo's conquest. The struggles which goes on the mind of the Bantu's narrator is amusing at times, for he is obviously unwilling to accept any superiority of the prowess of the part of the Nilos. So anyway, long story short, the land today called Western Kenya, their land between the Luyas and the Hutus and the Baganda, there was no any boundary separation. But today, the Luos and the other Nilotic people, the Tutsi, the Hima, they have made boundaries. Like they live between this group. They've divided us. They've divided us. If you look at the borders, what you see is Nilotic people living like separating one Bantu from the other. It's just Nilotic people. And this was very deliberate. And every group that is surrounded by the Nilotic or the Tutsi, they made sure the religious aspect is gone. The divinity is gone. You start to worship cattle like them. And you married to their females. And that was like the main goal. You worship into their women. They take your women, they marry, and then they take their women, give it to you. So in that sense, you become admixed, and then they delete your culture, they delete your history and everything. This is still going on to this day. That's why you have a lot of Tutsi with some Bantu blood. That's why you have Hima, with Bantu blood, and the Luos. Today, if they do DNA, you see they are Luo. They are like the same people with Luya. It's because they are forcefully assimilated. They deleted a lot of people. A lot of people was deleted, and this was very deliberate. So, like I've said and again, one of the biggest secrets is that the non-Bantu blacks helped Byzantine navigate to Indian Ocean when Ottoman closed the Mediterranean Sea in the search of Presa-John. Presa-John, remember, it evolved from monopoly. Monopoly was a term introduced to the Germans from the Greco-Romans or the Ptolemies. The same people. So they were looking for this group which disappeared. As a matter of fact, when the Mzungu came to, especially East Africa, they claimed that the Presa-John would help them through prayers or through magics. Let me put it like miracles. They say Presa-John will perform miracles and help them defend them from Muslims. But when they arrived and discovered these are people, the black people, they changed their mind and they joined the Ottomans in conquest and to colonize Africa. That is what happened, and is still happening to this day. So the next video will tell you, will summarize everything that I've said in a better way than how I'm explaining it, and I hope you understand that what is going on right now. Let me say this in Swahili. Yenye inaendelea ni vita. Kuna vita inaendelea ya religious ya between mzungu na wale tunaitwa tax wenye wanajiita Arabs, na sasa hawa wazungu wanapigana wenyewe kwa wenyewe, na pia upande mwingine kuna hao Nilo Hamites na Cushitic Hamites, pia hao wanapiga Bantu. Wote wakashikana pamoja ndio wamalize, wakaweka utofauti wao kando, wakafocus kuhakikisha Bantu hana history tena. So ni vita yezi isha mpaka siku ile Mungu mwenyewe atamaliza, na waezi kuacha hiyo vita. Yezi isha, hata wanajua Bantu peke yake ndio ajui nini inaendelea, au wengine wote wanajua nini inaendelea. Mtu anaitwa Bantu peke yake ndio ajui nini inaendelea. Yeye anafikiria ni rafiki, anafikiria mzungu akitoka atabaki na rafiki na Mtutsi. Nafikiria mzungu akitoka Mjaluo atampenda. Hakuna siku. Au walikula kiapo lazima wahakikishe wamepambana na Bantu. Ni lazima, hawezi acha. Kila mtu amekula hiyo kiapo kwa sababu wanajua Bantu akirudi aanze kuofa sacrifice na kufanya venye alikuwa ameambiwa na Mungu, wale nao nguvu zao zitadidimia na venye wanaishi itakuwa chini. So lazima wapambane, lazima wafanye kenye wanafanya ndio wakuwe equal. Lakini wataki equal, because mkikuwa equal nyinyi mnakuwa na nguvu, wanataka nyinyi mkuwe chini. So lazima wafanye ndio muishi bila kujua ukweli. Kama mnaishi bila kujua ukweli iko sawa, mkijua ukweli wewe wakumalize. Ni hivyo tu. So watch the next video tutakusaidia kusummarize kila kitu nimesema.
Islam will rise up in the course of history by the 6th century, will cut off Europe from world trade by dominating North Africa and the Middle East. Europe was cut off totally from Asia, India, and Africa in terms of trade and access to wealth. So Europe would plunge into what we call the Dark Ages. But it was an economic depression that led to a complete breakdown of society. When they break out of that, they break out with a vengeance that we will never, ever again be in this situation. That breakout comes in the 1400s with the Portuguese. And they will wreak vengeance on the rest of the world to control trade routes. economic territories. Where is the wheat grown? Where is the gold? Where is the barley? We will get control of these things because we will never be caught in the dark ages again.
In Cuba, they have a Spanish dish. It's called moros y cristianos, which means Moors and Christians. And this dish consists of white rice, which is the white Christians, and black beans, which represents the black Moors. So this theme of a racial battle disguised as a religious battle, that's still in popular culture today.
When you conquer a civilization, you're actually conquering their God. Because what do? You change the name of God once you change their religion, once you change their culture. So the name of God is based upon how you create God. In other words,